We've got a special report today on something big at Eufaula High School. It's good to have you, Dr. Davis, along with Coach Moore. And there's some new things happening here at Eufaula High School. Want to tell us about them?
Sure. Well, first I want to make it clear that this is proposed right now. It's in draft form. We will have a parent meeting Monday night to talk to our parents some more about kind of things that they've heard regarding a proposed bail schedule, and then hopefully take it to the board in March for board approval. So this is all in draft form right now. Mr. Hawkins has spent a good bit of time meeting with his building leadership team to kind of talk about where we want to move in the future with our bail schedule. Currently, we're on the traditional block schedule, which means our students take 4 courses in the fall and then 4 more courses in the spring. With the modified block schedule, we will still continue with 8 credits throughout the year, but we will have some changes with what the kids can take as far as academic enrichment. We've got ACT prep, we've got fine arts, we've got various interests that students have that sometimes they have to do after school or on the weekends, and so we are embedding a flexible, or some call skinny, period that will meet 4 days a week, Tuesday through Friday. But the biggest change is the fact that all of our courses will go all year instead of just a semester. And I want to back up and say most of them will. When I talked with the building leadership team, there's kind of a non-negotiable that I wanted in the scheduling, and then they could kind of create their own. And the non-negotiable was our core content areas, which are English language arts, math, science, and social studies. Those needed to be offered all year. Now, there are some other courses that can be a semester long, and they'll work with the teachers to find out which ones meet the needs of the students and the teachers. But those 4 areas are so important that students have those courses year long. One, with the standards, they are very deep. Instead of, as we've heard, deep and wide, they're deep and not wide anymore. So the students need the whole year to go deep in those, and the teachers need the whole year to also be able to teach those. But I think that when we think of all year, we think of every day, and this modified block schedule doesn't exactly do that. It offers students on Monday what we're looking at, and the building leadership team crafted this new schedule. Monday, they will see all 8 courses for what we would know as a traditional 45-50 minutes. So what you think about is the old traditional 7 or 8 period day, but they will only be on Monday. Tuesday and Thursday, they will go back to what they know as the blocks. So they will see blocks 1, 3, 5, and 7 on Tuesday and Thursday, and have that amount of time that they're used to, except they will go all year. And then Wednesday and Friday, they will see blocks 2, 4, 6, and 8. So it mirrors a college schedule in that they don't see the teacher every day, but it gives them the time, the teachers and the students, when you look at AP courses, when you look at science labs, when you look at writing assignments, when you look at fine arts and athletics. All of the courses lend themselves to needing that additional time, but it was important that we gave these students that class all year. And so this offers them the opportunity of having that time, but going all year to get those standards, have more time to master those standards.
I know one of the things that always happens is it going to mess up their lunch? They're going to worry about that.
Lunch is still, it'll be part of one of their blocks during the day, and it really won't change lunch. So what it does is it gives more flexibility for students that maybe dual enroll, whether it's on campus or off campus. If I dual enroll 2 days a week, then I'm treated as if I'm in college, and those other 2 days a week I may not come to school those periods. It gives you time to study. It gives students the time to spend all year rather than trying to master those standards in one semester. And I think where we're seeing the importance of this, no matter if you're doing AP courses or if you're doing career tech to try to credential for career readiness, if you take a course in the fall and then you are taking the AP test or the ACT for our juniors or the ACT work keys for our seniors, you don't take that test until the spring semester. Your AP tests are not until May. So I'll give you an example. Right now we have students that took AP Lit and AP Lang the fall semester. Well, their test is not until May, so they won't see that curriculum anymore, and then we are asking them to make a qualifying score, which is a 3, 4, or 5, to get college credit on material that they haven't seen since December. So this schedule will offer them the opportunity to take that course all year. And AP courses are, of course, in all subjects, and we are looking to expand the AP offerings with the A+ College Ready grant. So our schedule would allow for that. It allows for labs, whether you're in career tech, science, any type of project-based learning. They need that time, but teachers sometimes feel rushed because they might take out a lab because they know they've got to get the material covered that the kids might test on in a traditional method. So this will give them time to do both.
Well, my perspective, real quick on that, we're all about the ACT, athletically, and trying to find. We got 6 kids into college that signed scholarships in February 3rd, but the problem is that 5 of them went to junior college, and that's great, and they paid for everything, and that's a blessing to have those kids go there. But we would prefer that they didn't go to Kansas to play football. We'd want them to stay in Alabama and make qualifying scores and to be Division I eligible. And to do that, you got to have a pretty solid ACT score. Well, if I have a guy that took a fall algebra or whatever that might be, he's not taking the ACT until, a lot of them, April, when they're required to take it as juniors. And if he's like me, a 3-month period being out of a math class, I'm going to really struggle to remember my formulas and what I was supposed to do. And just with anything. And so for us going all year, I think we're going to see our ACT scores drastically improve. Not, obviously AP students and those kind of guys, but our ACT scores are as valuable as anything here for us. And that's going to be big. And then secondly, the way that the schedule shakes out for us, it really doesn't change anything for extracurriculars at all. I mean, we're still going to get to see our kids. Our Dr. Davis is a big advocate of us, continuing to see our guys every day to perform at the highest level. That won't change. So, athletically, we're still in great shape, and I'm very excited to see over a year or 2 years what our ACT scores do and how we improve there, because when I walked in the doors, there were 3 of 23 kids, seniors, that were Division I eligible, and that number's got to drastically improve. And it will, and I think this is the first step in doing that.
When you look at the requirement now to get into Auburn, to Alabama, to Troy, the major school, plus Wallace, this doesn't affect that, does it? In any way, this change?
Well, we hope that what we will see, and if you look at data for other systems and schools that are on bell schedules that aren't on the traditional block, their scores tend to be a little higher, and their ACT scores, their AP scores, which is all college relevant. And so what we're looking to do, what we want to do, is to make sure that we are offering those opportunities to the students, and also that we aren't maybe putting up barriers, not intentional, to hinder that. And I think it's important that we look at change. The standards have changed over the last several years. The requirements have changed. If you look at what the state requires now for college and career readiness, they've given us 6 different measuring sticks. It's no longer the graduation rate. And we'll go over those Monday night, and we'll show the parents where Eufaula stands right now with last year's graduating class. And our goal is to have 100% of our students college and career ready. And that can be done with those 6 measuring sticks that the state provides. But we're not there, and so we have to look at what other systems are doing that are closer than we are, and we have to find out what we can do in Eufaula to help our students. And so I think it's about, one of the questions has been, why now? And I think after we really look at some of the information Monday night, we'll say, why wait? Because our kids deserve the best, and our teachers I've been here a month, and they are some of the hardest working teachers I've seen across the state. And so we have to look at what are our obstacles then, what may be causing this, because the hard work that we see, the results don't match that. And so we want to make sure that what we're doing helps students and helps our teachers.
I guess where I'm really headed with it, back for people that graduate in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s from high school, you had to have so many hours of training to go to a major university and to graduate. That really hasn't changed that much over the years.
They require credits now. There are 24 credits that you have to have in Alabama. And they look at your GPA. They look to make sure that you have those specific classes. And so that doesn't really change and hasn't really changed. They've tweaked some of the courses, but nothing major.
And you're getting the same amount of credits. That's what I think there's been a little bit of a misconception. The credits are exactly the same. We can earn 8 credits a year here.
Yes.
And well, more if we were to pump in an Access or a Hope. The credit thing does not change. It won't affect upcoming rising seniors, none of that kind of stuff. The schedule will be very similar, just that we're doing it all year rather than chopping the year in half, so to speak, and going semester by semester. So again, really for us, it's going to help us, like I said, athletically, because we've got basically one schedule starting in the fall, and then we run it all year. So we're not at Christmas kind of scrambling to say this kid needs to make sure this one's in this block and that kind of deal. It's done and up front, and the kid knows all year this is where I am. But no, I mean, as far as credits and all that kind of stuff, it's exactly the same. There's no. To me, when I look at the schedule, I see it as blocks, because that's what I get them. I get them a block. We combine blocks for athletics and extracurriculars, so I see it that way. So to me, this is not change for the sake of change. There's data to back up the reason we're doing what we're doing, and Dr. Davis has been in places where that's what they did, and then facts is that those systems are doing a little better, and so we've got to grow and be willing to accept the change based on the needs of our kids here in Eufaula, and that's what it's here for. It's not change for the sake of change, and again, I'm very excited about it.
When we look at the way that school is set up, and we look at summer school, is it possible in Eufaula to go to summer school and get courses ahead?
I can't speak on past, but it really should be summer. We should look at it as summer programs to meet the individual needs of students. And absolutely, I've run many schedules where kids come for acceleration because they want to take so many courses during the year and can't fit something in. And so I'll give you an example of what we did in a former system at Central High School. We transitioned all of our 9th graders by coming during the summer and taking PE Life. So it was acceleration, but it got those students used to the facilities, those 9th graders. We saw that it helped tremendously with that first day of school. Plus, they had a half credit. Well, they had one full credit under their belt by taking PE Life.
I know that I experienced personally when I was going to school that I went and took a course in the summer that I struggled with to some degree. Didn't fail, nothing like that. Just struggled with it. Did you know that during that time, I got better attention from the teacher? I learned more about the subject matter, and I was amazed because I was going to summer school.
Well, we offer an on-site summer school here. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's done online, but you have a teacher. We had several players, and really a good thing, many of which were trying to become NCAA eligible. It was not a credit recovery. It was a true online course that had a paper trail for the NCAA, and we offered that, and I was very impressed. Miss Aites taught it and did a tremendous job, and we had kids finishing it early, but they learned as much as anybody. When I was at Opelika, I did that. I ran the summer school to make extra money, and so I did access courses and did online courses, and those are not just make up a couple of units and be done. These are true access courses that accelerate you, and some want to graduate early, some want to replace a D in an English class with a B from an online class in the summer. So we use it a lot of ways, but we offer that here. Yes.
I know that you probably talked to students about this possible change and how it's going to affect. How do they accept it?
Well, from what I've heard, the few that I have spoken with, and I know Mr. Hawkins and the counselors have done more to talk with them on site, but for our upcoming seniors, this will be their 3rd schedule. And so that has caused a little bit of fear, I think, just why are we changing again? And so I do understand that. kids, though, are very resilient. They deal much better with change than adults do sometimes. And so I think it's just the initial shock of why are we changing again. Once they get in it, I think they will really enjoy it. And I know that Mr. Hawkins and the counselors and maybe some of the other teachers as well have kind of expressed to them, what we're doing and why we're doing it. So I think what you would see at any other campus with why are we changing, especially with me coming in January. This process should have been started in October, and I will touch on that. That is very unfortunate, but I will tell the parents this Monday night. There are two ways to look at somebody coming in new. One, you can sit back for 18 months before you make any changes to make sure that you're going to be around for another contract. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to look at where we are and where we need to be to make changes that have purpose if they need changing. If they don't, there's no need to change them. And this is one that I strongly believe, but the data will also back it up, that we need to make this change now. We can't afford to wait another year. So as far as why now, I really think that if I didn't propose this, that at the end of the day, I could lay my head down on my pillow, because that's what I'm hired to do, is to look at what's the best opportunity we can provide the students. So once they get in it and get started, they probably will enjoy it more, because we all have those teachers we don't enjoy or those subjects we don't enjoy. And so the fact that I don't go every day, but I really have all year to learn the material, I feel like they will adjust well, and I've seen other students adjust well.
One of the things that Coach Moore did when he came here, he developed a slogan for the team called The Next Step. And I see this happening now to the whole school, that the school is taking the next step to a better learning situation.
We changed when, that was the big thing, is we changed a lot of stuff when I got here. I mean, I got here last April 7th, and we changed a lot of stuff. And I'm sure there were kids in that locker room and some teachers that were fearful of the change, because some people just aren't wired that way, where that makes it tough. But you can't say, just like Dr. Davis mentioned, you can't say, well, I'll just wait a year, or we didn't do that with football. We hit the ground running, just like she's done as a superintendent. And so that's what you have to do. If you're going to go in and just be patient and those kind of things, that's just, I think she and I are pretty similar in some ways. We're not wired that way. And so to get in and hit the ground running is kind of what we have to do. Otherwise, we just kind of, we're not, and she said it, you're not doing your job. If you're not running and doing what's right for kids and knowing that things need to be adjusted in their best interest, then you're not doing your job. And so, yeah, we have taken the next step in football, and now we're taking the next step in our city school system. And I'm very excited about that. I'm excited about the future.
The thing that's really important, Dr. Davis, is that athletics and academics have to go together in this new world. Coach Moore, better than anybody I've known, recognizes that and works with the students here and sees they get the help they need. I know of situations in other communities years ago where grades changed on permanent records, and that doesn't help the student.
No.
That doesn't help the student. And one thing, I don't know you well enough yet, even though we've talked several times. I do know Coach Moore because of it. There is nobody going to change any grades here. But I've seen that happen. Yeah. I saw an F go to an A.
Well, what you have to understand is we have to understand what's the difference in our goal and our purpose. As leaders of the community, as leaders of the school system, our goal is to get kids through, yes, and our goal is to win games and all that kind of stuff, but our purpose is much bigger than that. Our purpose is to make them better citizens, and if you ever have something like that, which, I've never been a part of anything like that, but if you're in any system I've ever been in, but that doesn't do any justice for what your goal is. And we're teaching character every day, and we're trying for all of our students, we want them to be good people and be good citizens, give back to our community, and hopefully go off and get an education and come back and plug in. And but the purpose is to make them better people. And if you find yourself doing things like that as a system, then you obviously got bigger issues than a schedule change. So again, the whole thing is to help them and invest in them and to push them academically. We're all on board with that. And again, just the future is bright in that. I really believe in Dr. Davis and what she's doing, and it's going to be great. It's going to change quickly, just like football. It's going to change very, very quickly here. And again, the system's not broken. It just needs a tune-up, and that's where we're headed.
When you look at the steps that this has went through for us to get at this level of education, this is one of the highest rated school systems in Alabama for years. Not just this year, but we've continually moved up, national recognition and everything. And it's extremely good to see us not satisfied with where we're at, that we're going to do something to increase this. We've got a principal that's behind the program. We've got teachers that are behind the program. Now we need to get the parents behind it. Now, let's talk about the meeting. What time is it?
It's at 6 o'clock Monday night here in the Commons area. And we're actually going to, we've got a short PowerPoint that we'll talk through with some data, with some information. And so we'll have it set up like Coach Moore had it set up for the football banquet, so that so that everything is visible.
Let's see, what's the date for Monday night?
Monday's the February 29th.
Fine. I guarantee you we'll be here and we'll be taping it and playing it back for people.
Great. And can I also say that one of the things that concerned me when I first got here was the question of, is this going to the board in February? There were some calls and emails, which I don't mind at all. But my concern is, and I know people don't know me, but as they get to know me, the biggest thing that I want to make sure that I always am is transparent. And so I kind of was taken aback, like, why would they think we're going to take this to the board? We haven't even talked to the parents yet. And so I just want people to know as we move forward and as they get to know me, that when we have these types of proposed changes, there will always be parent meetings. There will always be discussion. And we started here at the building leadership team level because I wanted them to understand what the non-negotiables were. In leadership, we call that loose tight. And the tight of this was all of our core content areas, those 4 subjects that were tested on the ACT, those have to be offered all year. They don't have to be offered every day, but that was the tight of this. The loose was you look around and see what will work for you. And so that was the first process. And the leadership team worked with Ms. Eller, Mr. Hawkins. I want to commend he and the leadership team because, again, go back, this should have started in October, but we didn't have that time. And so they were shocked at first. Anytime you see change, you have the dip, and they've moved back up to really understand. They've had a little time to understand and work that schedule for Eufaula High School, not for Elizabeth Davis, but for Eufaula High School. So I want to make that known, is that anytime we have any type of proposed change of this magnitude, we will always be transparent about it, because nobody likes to be shocked and nobody likes to learn about it after the fact, especially if their child is involved. So I just want to make that known. And also, as people get to know me, they will know that. If there's one thing about me, I'm very transparent. You may not like it at the end of the day, but you will know how I feel and where we're headed, where I'm proposing that we head. And I want to relate this to something that is totally different, not in academics, but as I go through the buildings, I've noticed some of our facilities are not up to par. So I relate the urgency to those facilities to this schedule, because I have said the same thing to Mr. Bailey. This has to be ready for the next school year. And I'll give the example of the restrooms in the primary school. I understand it's an older building, but that has to change just as quick as our bell schedule has to change for kids. They have the same urgency. It's just that it's easier to see the restrooms changing and, oh, that needs to happen, because we all see what it looks like now. But when we dig deep to the academics, that's my job as well. I have to make sure those kind of changes are looked at in all areas.
I know that the staff, everybody is aware of this, but you mentioned one thing, and this is something I've noticed about you in the short time you've been here. The school board knows what's going on.
They do. I think it's important to let them know. Again, every Friday I send them an email of the big meetings or events I went to during the week, and sometimes things arise during those events. So when that happens, I put that in there as an FYI. As we've changed the draft of the modified block, Mr. Hawkins has sent me 3 or 4 different versions as they've worked through them. I think it's very important that they know that, because they're going to be asked in the community and at church, and they need to know that we're in the process. They are very, very good about not getting into the details, but they at least need to know what's going on, that we're in the process, so when they're asked, they're not blindsided. So I think we have one of the best boards in the state, probably the nation. That's one of the things I was told coming in, and they're very supportive, but they were very clear about we just need to know, and so that's very important.
When you look at this board and the way they've supported the athletic facility, and now they're going into VOTEC for here at the high school, this is not going to look like the same Eufaula High School 2 years from now. Both athletically, academically, everything. It's going to be a step, and a big step, by what I'm seeing. And the way the board is so supportive of this, in conversations I have with them and going to the school board meeting, you see this support. And the people here need to realize that when you go up and make a presentation, knowing you the way I've met you, is that you're going to let anything be on the table. You're going to answer their question. You're going to hem and haw. You're going to answer their question. So we want to remind people to be sure and attend, if at all possible. If not, we'll put it on TV and radio. That's beside the point. But there's nothing going to overcome it more than them being in this facility that night on February the 29th at 6 o'clock. How long do you think the meeting will last?
We met yesterday to look at what we were going to cover to make sure we were where we needed to be, and we're actually right on track. Again, there's only 22 slides in the PowerPoint with some charts and graphs to look at with data. I would say 45 minutes if you look at the information, and what we're going to do is ask parents and whomever comes, we're going to put note cards or sticky notes on the tables and ask them to jot their questions down so that at the end they don't forget them, and then we will cover questions. We also want to take them up, and the best thing we can do for those that can attend is we're going to create an FAQ sheet, and so we will put every question and every answer on that FAQ sheet and post it on our website. So for parents that can attend, and also there are some parents that don't want to speak up. I know you always have very vocal ones. You have some that are going to have to leave. I know First Baptist Church is having their revival Monday night. So if they will leave their questions, we will get those on that sheet. So I think that's important to know. You can come at 6 and see the information. We're going to post this PowerPoint on our website Tuesday morning, because again, it's about transparency. We're not trying to hide anything. We want to have this discussion, because Dr. Bai starts at the top, our state superintendent, and says where you do have issues or areas that you want to focus on and bring up, you have to own it. And so we're owning it, we're growing, we're moving forward. And I think what you mentioned is so important when you say this high school is not going to look like it did 2 years ago. And I would challenge people, when they go in doctor's offices, when they go in Walmart, does it look like it looked 2 years ago? Probably not. So why would we want our school to look the same way? Because our kids they have to be prepared for what's ahead, and what's ahead doesn't look like what it did 2 years ago.
It's hard to believe that this school is the age that it is. It's been upkept pretty well, but there's just things that need to be done. And you've got an elementary school that was the original school here in Eufaula. And so now you're addressing the needs of that particular school and all that it's doing. And it's just so great to see this growth. I'm a tremendous supporter of vocational education. And especially when I asked the question, and it was answered to me that a VOTEC student comes out with the qualifications to go to a major college.
Yes, or go straight to work. If they want to go straight to work, they have that qualification with our ACT Work Keys test. that they would have to take that test if they were being hired at 3M or some of those other business and industries. If they make that score here as a senior, they're ready to go to work.
And one of the great things about that is they can work their way through college if they can't get a scholarship.
That's right.
I was at Wiregrass Works this morning, the leadership breakfast, and I told the man that was speaking, I said, I look at my student loans that I have 8 more years of student loans. So basically, I'm 39 years old and I can retire. I'll be able to retire quicker than I would have been able to pay off my student loans. So
And that's not an unusual situation. There's a lot of people in that situation. And we're so lucky. We've went through a series of superintendents since I've been in Eufaula, and that started in '98. And it just amazes me how we get better and better and better. Because I think every time we get one, we'll never get one better than this. And this school board finds them. This school board recognizes them. And one of the things that I'll say to you, that I said in the meeting as well, but I think everybody needs to know how much this school board was behind getting you here. And that says a lot for your ability.
well, thank you.
Because anytime they can get sold like that, they weren't looking for a quick way out. They spent more time interviewing this time than they've ever done since I was here. But I do see that we're taking a next step in the whole program here. And now the parents have a chance to relate to it, ask questions about it, even make suggestions. And I think that's what they need to do. And I know that they can call the school superintendent's office, and they can talk to somebody there who will take their questions, see that it gets answered. We're not trying to get a bunch of phone calls down there. We'd rather them be here.
Absolutely.
We'd rather them be here. Get that question answered one-on-one. There'll be people here that can answer their questions.
I'll stay till midnight if I need to. That's what we're here for. That's what we're hired to do. That's our job.
And I know that the school board is going to be so much behind this, and is right now. I know the administration here at the central office is behind it, and I know for sure that the teachers and administrators of this school right here that we're sitting in are behind this program. They have sent, the principals came and spoke to the school board on several occasions about changing this back. And of course, immediately everybody said, again? But again's fine if it's better.
It is.
Again's fine if it's better. And it's just that the things seem to be coming into place to take this from a great school system to an absolutely super fantastic school system. And as long as we can keep that in place, this will be something else. Do you have anything else that either one of you want to say?
I want to say that I appreciate what the school has done in the short time that I've been here since January 11th. Not only have they had to try to figure out who I am and what I'm doing, but they've done an outstanding job of wrapping their head around what that tight was and the loose tight, and after the initial shock of it, because again, I'm brand new, really getting behind it and saying, how can we make this work? And they didn't have to do that. They could have said, we don't want this and we're going to fight it, but regardless of how they felt in the beginning, they really have jumped on board and have supported and made it work for them. And you don't find that in some systems too. So my hat's off to Mr. Hawkins and his leadership, Coach Moore and his leadership. And I will tell you, in the month I've been here, if there's one thing I talk about, there are two things I talk about when people ask me about Eufaula. And one is our kids. We have some of the most respectful children, students from pre-K. I spent a good bit of time in pre-K because it's near my office, up through our 12th graders. You won't find a better group of kids all around, just the whole child. And two, our teachers and our administrators. Some people might argue that when you have such a a large community where people come back, that you don't have the freshness, the newness, but these people are truly dedicated. They go out, they learn, they're hungry, they embrace anything we talk about. They bring it in just like chess. The support from our teachers and administrators for that in a short time, again, they want that. And so you don't find that everywhere, because when you do have the constant transition in larger areas, there's no buy-in to really support the school itself. They may support their content or their department, but I think that makes this city and this community special. And I think with those two aspects here, we really the sky's the limit.
When we look at this program and we see all of these things happening, one thing that I want to say to you and to Coach Moore, you're around in all of these schools. You don't just stay behind a desk. I know in having conversations with you that you're running day and night, and you're in these schools. I graduated in a school system. I went grade 1 all the way through high school in the same system. Came back and taught later for 3 years. Do you know how many times I saw a school superintendent in all those years? None.
Well, she's been out and about, there's no doubt. She's been here many times and very busy. And well, Ron, thank you for interviewing us, really. And you know, like I said, I called this in support, and just wanted to say, you know, change is a good thing. You know, sometimes it's hard. I mean, it's tough, and accepting change is really difficult. I've been part of that, and you know, I'm just really excited about it. And like I said, just very supportive. And thank you for supporting us too. Thank you for all you've said.
Well, our facilities are open to you anytime.
Thank you.
You just tell us. We'll make it work.
Thank you, Ron.
And thank you.
Right.